This is the story that we're looking at for the March issue of The Banker, which is how neobanks have progressed and if the honeymoon period is really over for them now. And really the neobanks in the UK emerged after the global financial crisis 2007-2008. Prior to that time, it was the big four banks that really dominated the banking sector in the country, but the regulator opened up new licences, and as of January this year, there have been 39 new licences issued in the UK. Over time, we've really seen consumers become more comfortable with using neobanks, but also with using just mobile and the internet for their banking services anyway, which has really helped the banks like Monzo to grow. However, what we've also seen is that some of the traditional banks have opened their own neobanks, and even those that didn't have a traditional retail banking presence in the UK, like JP Morgan, have managed to do this with success. So all of this has really impacted the playing field for the neobanks. In 2024, we saw actually the neobanks did quite well. So we've had Starling, Revolut and Monzo all posted profits during the year. But what has been an issue for the neobanks is, despite the fact that they don't actually have to have the bricks and mortar presence on the high street like the traditional banks, they've faced other issues such as not being able to develop their services and product suites. They've also had challenges around the amount of deposits that they've been getting on balance sheets, and these are the type of things that have really been holding back their growth compared with traditional banks. With the neobanks, they've always been perceived as being a secondary bank by a lot of consumers as opposed to being the first port of call bank. So the traditional banks have often been getting the salary payments in them, while the secondary banks of the neobanks have been used to just make retail payments, for example. And this has really impacted the ability of the neobanks to scale without that size of the deposits being paid into them. And this is really typified by the fact that only 6% of salary payments are made into neobanks in the UK. To read our deep dive into the neobanks, visit thebanker.com.